Hey everybody, today I'm going to talk about types in Java. I'm really talking about types of different variables that you can have. I'm going to follow along with this note-taking guide that I gave you. So this very first part is just the bullet points. These are the different kinds of variables we're going to talk about today, and in here is going to be this piece. Alright, so if you're following along, great. If you already know this, great. You still have to turn in the worksheet. What can I say? Alright, here we go. So there are a bunch of different types of variables in Java. The four that are the main ones that are required for the AP test, so they're in the Java subset, you'll hear me say that over and over again, are strings, booleans, ints, and doubles, and we'll talk about what all of those are. Characters come in and out, if that makes any sense to you. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. Alright, so if you want to start using a variable, you have to tell the computer, in Java at least, what kind of variable it's going to be. Like, what kind of stuff is this variable going to store? So it knows how to set up that spot in memory. So here we go. So if you type the words string A equals hello, you're setting the value of hello, which is called a string, it's in quotation marks, kind of like when you said hello world, right? So you store the value of hello into the variable A. So this is the name of the variable. Variables can have all kinds of names. They can be named Bob, they can be named Zebra, they can be named whatever you want them to be named. And we'll talk about naming variables in the next lesson in class. This is the type that it is. So this whole thing, well, this piece is you declaring the variable. You are declaring the variable A. You are saying there's going to be a variable named A that I'm about to use. This entire thing, like from start to finish here, is called initializing a variable. Right? You're initializing the variable A. You are giving it an initial value. Okay. The first type we're going to talk about are strings. Now you'll notice as I do this that string is capitalized, and in all the other ones like int, boolean, double, it's all going to be lowercase. That's because strings are objects and the other ones are primitives. If you think about like an integer, it's not nearly as complicated as something that can represent, oh, here we go, words or sentences. So strings you can do all kinds of things to them. Like if you had a really long string, you could split it up into little pieces, right? You could ask, how long is this string? You do all kinds of things. You could alphabetize them, right? They're a little bit more complicated, actually significantly more complicated than just your old regular number, right? And so there might be all kinds of methods that you'd want associated with a string. And so in Java, it's programmed to be an object, and so it looks a little different. It has different properties, and we will so talk about this later this year. But all you need to know right now is that strings, the capital S, strings are objects, and these guys are primitive. They're as basic as a basic building block that we can make for Java. So here you go. A string can hold words or sentences. So I'm going to initialize the variable A to hold the value hello, and I'm going to store it in a string. So I'm going to initialize B to just have a space inside of it, right? So there's nothing here. Sometimes I'll draw this in the beginning just so you can see the space, but it's not really, there's no character there, so don't do that. When you write your tests, just leave a space, it's fine. Okay, string C is world, so we're going to say hello to the world again. Okay? So if I can do lots of things to strings, but one of the things I can do is add them. So if I have string D and I add A plus B plus C, I'm going to take this hello and I'm going to do what's called concatenation. I'm going to attach this one to this one to this one. I'm going to concatenate A, B, and C. So the result of string D is A plus B plus C. Printing this is just hello world. and it doesn't have any quotation marks when you print it, even though starting off it did. So strings always have quotation marks around them. If I ask you what D was, you'd probably write it like this, but if you actually print it, it will print without the quotation marks. Okay? That's not a big deal. Don't worry about that part. In this one, we're going to start with E. We declare string E to be an empty string. It's initialized as an empty string. Okay, there's absolutely nothing in there. There's no space, there's no anything. It's just like empty. So I take that emptiness, and in this line, what you do is evaluate what's over here and then store it in this variable. So in this case, I'm going to take E plus A. So E was absolutely nothing. Plus A was hello. So my new E value is going to be hello. Now in the next line, I let E get E plus B. Well, my current E is hello, and to that I'm going to add a space. Okay. And then in this one, the current E is hello space, and to that I'm going to add world, because world was C. So when I print this at the end, it's going to print hello world. No quotation marks. Okay? Okay, so we've now finished strings. We're going to move on to booleans. Booleans can hold true or false. That's what they do. If you took some class in Python last, say like part of the intro class, you would have discovered true and false in Python have capital T's and capital F's. In Java, they have lowercase t and f. There's going to be a lot of things in Python and Java that are backwards, and the years I taught intro and AP simultaneously, confusing. Always flipping back and forth. All right. You can create a variable named isSleepy. It is a Boolean, and you can set its value to true. So I've initialized isSleepy to true. I initialized awake to be false. I initialized time to be an integer with a value of 8. And I initialized isEarly to be a Boolean that has a value of time less than 10. So the actual starting value of isEarly is, let's see, if you know that 8 is less than 10, that's true, so isEarly equals true. Okay. There are 3 operations that you need to worry about with Booleans. You can take a true and a false and say, if this is true and this is false, then what? You could check to see if this is true or if this is true. And the other one is not. If you know that this is not true, what happens? In Java, we write and as 2 ampersands. Drawing ampersands by hand is not for the faint of heart. Your first ones will probably look absolutely terrible, and you're in good company. Or is 2 vertical lines. They're up on your keyboard near the backslash. And then not is an exclamation point, not to be confused with factorial. All right. And an or. I think about it this way. I don't know if this will help you. So if your parents said, in order to go out this weekend, well, first coronavirus would have to be over, but in order to go out this weekend, you need to take out the trash and finish your homework, right? So you take out the trash, but you don't finish your homework. Do you get to go out? No. Okay, you take out the trash and you finish your homework. Do you get to go out? Yes. Okay, so if you do one of them, no go, not happening. If you do 2 of them, you can. If you don't do anything, you're not going anywhere, you're grounded for life. Okay, so that's and, no problem. If your parents say you can take out the trash or do your homework, if you do one or the other, you get to go. What if you do both? So if you both take out the trash and you do your homework, you do both of those things. And your parents said if you do take out the trash or do your homework, Do you get to go if you've done both of them? Like, I mean, you're the best child in the world. Your brothers and sisters are screwed for life. But yes, you definitely get to go out. So in this case, and in computer science, or is either this, or both of them. So if either this one, or both of them happen, it's good. It's going to come out as true. So if this is true, or both of them are true, it's true. If neither of them has happened, you didn't take out the trash, you didn't do your homework, and your parents said this or this, you're not going anywhere. All right, here we go. So some examples. In this example, I started with just a declaration of B, C, D, and E. The variable spots have been created in memory. They're defined to be Booleans, but there's nothing stored in them yet. So if you say that B gets the value not awake, right? Now we said earlier that awake was false, right? So I'm saying not false. What's that? True, right? Oops, not Python. It's true. All right, C, is sleepy or awake? So is sleepy was true, or awake was false. I was not awake. Generally not awake while trying to teach class. Okay, that's going to come out as either this or this. One of them's true. It works out to a true. All right? I'm going to let you try the next two yourself. Remember, order of operations from math, it still holds in computer science. So you do inside the parentheses first, PEMDAS, and then you do the next pieces. All right? So you're going to try D and E on your own, and we're going to check it in class and make sure you've got it. All right?